Hello everyone and welcome to week 4 of the PPL. My name is Gormizer and this is going to be the start of something I think maybe fantastic, maybe mouse-tastic, depending on how things go for today. As I said, my name is Gormizer. Joining me on the desk for today for the pre-show is going to be Rain Day and Pretty Hair. How are you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Fantastic.
Excited for today's games? Mouse having the doubleheader?
Sure am, man.
Big games from the doubleheader of the two teams who are in second and third, though. FNATIC and NIP, it's really feels like a doubleheader for them in terms of second place.
It's been a long time since we've been able to talk about mid-split roster changes. Anything that happens, most of the teams usually stick it through the split just because things have changed. Splice, especially since they found their roster, haven't really wanted to change things up. But FNATIC has made a change, and it's something that I think we had been hinted at kind of going into the split, but it never happened. Unbelievable is going to be taking in his spot instead of Thiel. So how do you think that's going to affect FNATIC and how they play?
I mean, they're doing it to improve this week. That's the real goal. FNATIC clearly couldn't have dropped farther than they had before, which was flawless. And so now maybe Untitled will give them a spark that they needed. It's a tough roster to swap because they have played with each other for so long, and Thiel is such a personality, but I think they're hoping that their play speaks for themselves.
I just wonder what they're going for with this change, right? Obviously, it's changing out one world championship tank player for another one. So it's like, where are they going with this? Are they just looking for a guy that's more comfortable playing the point front line? Because overall, FNATIC are still in the same kind of position that they were in before. They didn't add a tank player, so to speak. They're still in that sort of like, we've got our one main tank guy, and then we're flexing around these other three dudes.
Do you think that this change is going to make it easier for Mouse? Do you think they're going to be able to kind of take control of the turmoil that will now be FNATIC? Or do you think that because, like you said, this is just going to make them better?
The reason even was changed, right? Part of it was not his skill. It was the ability for him to be a part of that team. And Lazy fit in so much better with those guys. FNATIC have had a problem losing. They are really bad at losing. They do not talk. They are upset. It almost feels like they crawl inside versus going outwards and saying, here's how we problem solve, because they've had the same thing happen to them at LAN 2 times in a row now, and now it's HRX. I truly believe that these guys and that group just didn't have a line of communication that anyone knew how to navigate to be successful and make changes. I think they just found out that, hey man, let's just try and swap.
Something had to change. I think they were probably just as confused as we were as to what exactly that was.
Well, yesterday, one of the things that was actually unchanging that we had thought was changed was some of the champion bans that have been going on throughout this split. Bomb King was something that was a big talking point during Esports Weekly, but it turns out he's still not available for this week. Do you think that is going to affect Mouse or FNATIC in a negative way?
No, because that's what they've been doing the entire time. I mean, we made up a fantasy thinking it was there, but it's basically going to be the exact same way it's been all season.
Hurts them both equally. It would benefit them both equally, but it's just not there.
Do you think that specifically for like someone like Fish Echo, if they are able to ban away like a Drogas or a Willow, that's where we've kind of been seeing FNATIC get weak? Do you think not having that extra blaster, not having, I want to say like a wider champion pool is going to hurt them? Or do you think that they have been able to figure out a good way around that?
Well, I think that has hurt FNATIC a little bit. I do think that the Eevee, though, is something we might be able to see him bring back, which has always been a cornerstone for him to fall back on when Bomb King or Drogos or Willow was not available. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's not really about how Fisheko does. I think it's more of the unity of this team with a big swap in terms of your front line, your leader in terms of the vanguard of your fight.
I wonder what will happen to them, basically. If things don't go as planned right off the rip, that's when you might see like panic start to set in. All right, now who's doing what here? Do we put Bugsy on the secondary tank? Do we put Bittner on the secondary tank?
Right.
It's a lot to look out for, and you asked the question earlier, is this the time for Mousesports to strike? I think now is as good a time as any, really.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be one of the things that, and we talked about this, I think, after week 1, week 2, but one of the players on Mouse that has kind of needed their standout performance, this will be a good time for him, is Alex.
Yeah.
He hasn't really had anything that was stand out, and when I was actually getting to talk to Bees at one point, he was mentioning that he just hadn't been able to go to some of the champions he's a little bit more comfortable with.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering, do you think this is the best day, I guess, for him to be able to come through and show why he's in the PPL?
Well, I mean, that's a bit of a reach there. He hasn't proved why he's in the PPL yet. I'm being completely honest. He had a great performance at LAN, but online in the PPL, he has not really had that game-changing moment. But he has shown that he is a good mechanical player. So if the good mechanics can come through into some really great decision-making today, and then they can also come through into some great drafts from Mouse, then I think we're going to be in a good spot and say, yes, this guy definitely can have a place here.
Those highlights all came from week 1.
Just a thought.
That's been about it.
That's been about it.
So.
It's not been an easy time, and I think again this goes back to actually Esports Weekly yesterday. NTbees was saying it's just so difficult right now in Europe because everyone's just gotten better to the point where NIP, which normally I would say Mouse and NIP is going to be typically
Tighter
maybe
game.
a 4 or
Yeah,
5
yeah.
game set. It's going to be a little bit closer. I have a strong feeling about your opinions on this, but do you think it's going to be anywhere near the same?
It's a rough doubleheader because Mousesports are the team we're talking about for both games, but truly this is not their day.
Yeah.
FNATIC and NIP have to both win, and they have to 3-0. So I don't expect anything but World Championship caliber play from the number 2 teams right now in Europe.
Right, look at the broader scope of the rest of the split.
Yeah.
It's coming down to maps between these 2 teams. I mean, FNATIC has Na'Vi this week. NIP have Virtus Pro on Thursday. That matchup just flip-flops in the last week of play next week. And if everything goes kind of historically as it would, then it's coming down to maps. So everyone has to stay super clean down the stretch. No one can afford to drop a map to Mouse today.
So if Mouse is able to pick up a game,
a map,
even just off
That's
of
a
like
big
FNATIC,
deal.
that could swap just second and third, which is pretty much the teams we're looking at. The top 2 get a bye straight to HRX. The other 3 are going to have to fight each other through a placement. So Mouse is actually a big determiner here.
And that can happen. A guy like Alex has that type of skill. You put him on an Androxus, he has a Bittner-like game where he's 23-3. And you win a map. You win a Bright Marsh or something like that because you get going. You have an Inara. You get a good first pick ban phase. And that can make a difference. That can make us say, ooh, you should have respected Alex. And then we could start thinking about things next season. But right now, barring that, it's going to be NIP and FNATIC having to get clean sweeps.
Yeah.
So how much can the top 2 teams here, NIP and FNATIC, can they play around? Are they going to come in seriously? Or is Mouse going to be looking to try and shift some things around potentially just to try and find a win?
They'll definitely be playing seriously for sure. I think FNATIC is the only one that I could see dropping that map today and feeling uncomfortable because Kevin Rahu, unbelievable, is a very different style of tank player than Theo was. So it's about how quickly FNATIC can adjust to that new style.
And I think Umbi is going to fit in fine, but he admitted himself that he is rusty. So that rust is like, you could be fine game 2, 3, but if you lose map 1, that could ultimately cost you your place.
So looking towards the future, obviously there's big impact for FNATIC and NIP, depending on how this set goes, although most of us are leaning towards them being able to win. How they win, I think, is the more important part of it, because like you said, it comes down to maps. But do these losses, if they come through for Mouse, does that affect the roster in the future? Is this like looking at, man, after this split, do we just change everything? Do we go back? Do we pull a splice and drop and Virtus Pro in this case, drop everyone except Bees and bring in 4 new guys? Or how do they, what does it do to them?
I'll basically say that at this point, if Mousesports have another kind of winless style exit here, it's going to be everyone's on the chopping block. I mean, I love Bees, but he's not exempt from a losing team not winning, after a certain point. Just like all the Splice guys weren't. Rovanix and Zulu, that was Splice. They're not there anymore. So they've found success. These guys will find success, whether it's on Mousesports, whether it's a different combination of guys swapping. That's what we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's up to the org, I guess, as long as they're comfortable losing every single game for every single split. They need to make a change.
Well, I did get an opportunity not only for Esports Weekly yesterday, but for today to sit down with NTbees and kind of get his thoughts and feels on the game. This one specifically against FNATIC. We're going to go to that interview, then a quick break, and then bring in to set 1 Mouse versus FNATIC. Well, we're here with NTbees, and this is going to be a pretty big matchup, I'd say. I mean, you're going to go up against FNATIC, which so far I think has been the team to beat in Europe this year, although Na'Vi's definitely put themselves up there. How confident are you guys feeling about this set?
Truthfully, more confident than we've ever felt, really, going up against FNATIC. I don't know what it is, but they seem to be in a little bit of a slump. No disrespect to the boys, obviously. But I think if we ever have a shot, now is probably the best chance we have. I mean, we've done our research now, we've done our work, and hopefully we can pull something out today.
Yeah, and with the way things have kind of been trending in Europe, it feels like you guys, you're on the rise. FNATIC, like you said, is seemingly starting to fall, but I'm not sure if that's more them doing worse as much as it is that everyone else has been getting better. How are you guys feeling about kind of like the upward trend, I guess, of all the teams in Europe right now?
I mean, it's difficult for us at the start with new players and everything, and kind of adjusting as we are. Things are pretty tight at the moment within Europe. I feel like everyone is kind of so close, yet there's still those small margins are making a huge difference at the moment as well. So there's these little things that we need to adjust, and we need to make sure we're keeping up. Like, because I think we have massively improved, but I just don't think it's currently showing because everyone else has also massively improved. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to kind of see the forward steps that we've taken when everyone else has also taken the same steps to move forward.
That's actually one of the things. After the first week, I know we were giving a little bit of trouble to Alex because it seems like his performance hadn't been up to like the standard I guess we had expected. But how are you feeling overall about his inclusion in the team and how things have been going?
So far, the main thing that we've had concerns over is like a little bit of communication issues between the teams. So we're kind of doing another typical mouse tactic. So we're going to swap things around at the moment. I'm one of the more vocal players, so I'm going to take back the role of the more aggressive tanks. And we're going to try and use that with my vocals to try and help some of the things that we think we've been lacking in. And it's just some miscommunications and stuff in games where I think with more of a vocal lead voice is gonna make a big difference.
Well, hey, good luck in your games, and we'll talk to you right afterward.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Rock and roll, folks. Welcome here, and welcome everyone that may be joining us on Mixer. First day we're on that platform. Very excited to have them join the roster here for the PPL. My name is Pretty Hair. That's Gormizer. We're getting ready to bring you the first set of today's European broadcast. It's going to be Mousesports up against FNATIC.
It's going to be a really interesting matchup, but it's just one of those things that we've seen it in the past. We've seen what FNATIC can do. Now I'm actually interested to see how Unbelievable is going to fit in.
That's right, guys. Go ahead and make sure that you are following us on live.skillshot as well. That is a sort of universal platform that we're kind of putting all of our broadcasts on, whether it be PGS, the console broadcast, which I believe is actually exclusive to Mixer, and, of course, your PPL action. It's going to be a lot of fun to get into this one today. These guys, like we mentioned, they're playing for those map scores. They're playing for those top 2 spots in Europe because they're playing for DreamHack. DreamHack Atlanta will be the host to our World Championship this year. You can get your tickets. They are on sale now at highresexpo.com. That event happens on November 16th through the 18th. And not only do you get the Paladins World Championship, the big PC event you're probably all here waiting for, you get the console wars as well as both respective Smite tournaments as well as every other game that's there. There is a whole slew of games available to watch when there's no high-res esports going on at the moment. There's a nice little after party for you guys as well to help wind down the weekend. It's going to be a blast.
And that's probably the perfect time, right? You can come in, you get to see everybody at DreamHack, you can hang out with your friends, watch the games you really enjoy. And then when you hit the after party, you get to see everyone who's relaxed, because at that point, championships are over, you already have a winner.
Yep.
If you're FNATIC and you don't win, maybe you're a little bummed out, you don't come, but everybody else is going to be just as happy, just as relaxed. And it's the perfect time to meet everyone.
If you're Jera and you've gotten your second place at Worlds in a row,
feels rough.
Then you're probably feeling pretty bad about that. But FNATIC have made a major roster change. They've taken out their mainstay tank player Theo and replaced him with Unbelievable. Theo stepping down from the main roster for the man himself, Unbelievable. Very different style of tank Theo, known for the more aggro heavy and the more 3 DPS. I am the solo Barrack. I am the solo something that is looking to just kind of survive and help in any way I can. Whereas Unbelievable comes from that Na'Vi background. He comes from being the Inara. He comes from being the point tank, the terminus, the guy that is just constantly there and is honestly more a bit of the anchor of the team fight. So that's what I'm most curious to see from FNATIC today. How do they adjust to this new style of tank?
And I'm kind of wondering, because when we switched to like this triple DPS, that kind of meta, that was really big for FNATIC because it fit their style perfectly. Because like you said, Theo loves playing as a solo tank. He loves being able to get aggressive with it. It was something that worked very well for their team. And then when it starts switching back to double tank, it's all of a sudden, okay, well, who do we put on this off tank? Like, do we make it be Bugsy? Do we go for Bittner? Where do we want to go with this? But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be exactly what they do. I'm not sure if they're going to find success because, again, they swapped Theo, the tank, for Unbe, a tank, not any of the off players for a tank.
Exactly. To me, it feels like they're still in a similar situation here. They still have one tank player that is going to be super comfortable. This is Mousesports pick. This is Bright Marsh game number 1 of a best-of-5 set between FNATIC and Mousesports. Like we mentioned up on the desk before the show, it's mostly about FNATIC and NIP today. These guys are playing, still gunning for that second spot, that guaranteed spot at DreamHack. They don't have to go through the grueling qualifying process that is going to be coming up fairly soon here. They just get to bypass it all, go straight to the tournament. Right now they're tied with NIP. It's probably going to come down to maps. If you look at the matchups that are left for these guys in their schedule, they will probably end this split tied up. So they have to be super clean through the last couple of games that they have. Here are the bans up on the board. It's Torvald, Khan, Makoa, as well as Furia, and Drogos will be the first selection for FNATIC.
And if I'm remembering properly, the first time they went up against each other, FNATIC actually won, but it was a 3-1, so you still have NIP getting that map. So again, every single one of those little ticks is going to matter. Drogo's not too surprising to see FNATIC pick up. I'm actually going to be a little surprised if Willow goes unpicked here as well, because that has been big for FNATIC. It has been big for Mouse in the past.
Mousesports grab a very, very early Barrack with Inara open. FNATIC might be avoiding her as well for whatever reason. Maybe because Willow is still up on the board, maybe because Leon is still open. These teams don't want to invest too heavily into a tank that is going to be relying heavily on healing.
Cassie and Talus. Those two are a little odd to me, although Talus, again, this is 1.6, so a little bit of a buff to him. Actually, I was going to say really good against Ruckus, which is what a lot of people have been running as that secondary tank. Very, very dominant on Bright Marsh as well as for Ruckus. So being able to pick up both of those, a map that lends itself to both of their playstyles, I think is going to help deal with Ashe and Fernando. Talus also notably one of the few champions, I think, right now who can just go straight into Wrecker and demolish shields if he wants to.
Well, it is going to be double frontline for FNATIC, and Inara goes unpicked, unbanned on a Bright Marsh game in the PPL in Europe there.
This is the darkest timeline.
Color me very surprised, guys. Go ahead and cast your votes in chat now if you're watching on Mixer as to who you think is going to be win. Gore, who do you got?
Honestly, I have to give it over to FNATIC. I think the DPS-wise, it's kind of balanced between the two of them. But when it comes down to it, Barrack Ruckus versus Fernando Ashe, I think wins on the side of FNATIC just because both of them are relatively tanky and they can do a lot of damage if in the right hands. And FNATIC is usually the right hands for that kind of thing. Whereas Barrack is very hit or miss. He doesn't have a high health bar. Yes, he can control the point better than I think any of the other front lines in this game, but that's assuming he lives long enough to do it.
All right, we'll have to see. I mean, it's a very strange style. I'm curious to see who plays what for FNATIC today. Not a traditional two frontline squad. Unbelievable will be piloting the Fernando. Bugsy will be on the Ashe. Tenor on the Leon. Of course, like I said, Unbe on Fernando. Fishy on Combustible Drogos. Alex will be playing the Talus, and this is something I didn't get really a chance to mention on a little pre-show, but something I want to see from Alex is just more characters. I mean, he's played so much Kinessa. We saw a little bit of Cassie from him, I think, at his LAN performance, but what else is he bringing? He has got to find a way to be, I think, a bit more flexible and comfortable on certain characters. And he's got to learn how to hit this tree jump, baby.
If I remember correctly, Bees said that he was a blaster player as well, or can play blasters relatively well, and I'm still surprised that we didn't end up seeing the Willow. And evidently, most of chat does not tend to lean in the same favor as Mouse. Mouse is only got 9% of the votes.
And that had to be the last tick of the Spire Spit. I wonder what angle did that. I wonder if that came through the window there. I mean, that was a very interesting angle for First Blood to fall. FNATIC off to a nice little lead here, about 30% to 6. Pacheco, though, falling very, very low, and this isn't the real just like steamrolling over Mousesports performance we're typically used to seeing out of FNATIC. Bit of a slower start with their new tank.
Not only that, but it does feel like they're playing a little bit more patient, but at the same time, they have the exact kind of composition. I mean, you put Pacheco on Drogos, you get moments like that. It doesn't really matter how fast you happen to take it. You're going to be standing on the point until it's 100%, and I don't know if anyone can feel comfortable trying to contest.
I mean, this is why the King is first pick, baby. Look at this damage, and look at how safe it is, Gore. How far is Pacheco is so far away. He's half a map away and out of line of sight. Drogos is the only character that can do this reliable DPS while breaking line of sight around corners. Nowhere is truly safe from Drogos.
A little slower, but it doesn't really matter if he doesn't have to run away from anything, right? It's just in that same scenario that he's been able to sit back in the same area that we typically would see a Willow, but like you said, the only one who can truly get that big of a damage spread. Willow can kind of get it to an extent, but it's like slight damage splash around the corner, whereas Drogos can have a huge impact. And with the way things have been going, FNATIC just seem to be in control.
Let me see the KDs right now. I feel like Alex is the only one that has died.
3 times.
Everyone's gotten a couple of deaths, but it is 3 for Mousesports here. 3-0 for Pacheco, 2-0, 1-0, 1-0 across the board here. Big Dread Serpent into the corner here. Unbelievable, just cranking fireballs through this team fight. Easy breezy fight for them so far. Pacheco dives a little bit too deep and is taken down, but Tenor is able to keep the ball rolling in his stead. 1 minute and 33 on the clock here in the first round, but FNATIC, boy, they don't really look like they're going to need all that.
I mean, you give Bittner Leon, you give Pacheco Drogos, and I don't think you need to even look at the rest of FNATIC to know that that's going to be a very winning damage duo coming down from it, let alone the fact that you have two of the most aggressive, I would say, front lines that are in the game, especially in terms of their damage output. I mean, Bugsy and Unbelievable are just kind of keeping everyone controlled. If Mouse drop down from the balcony, they're in that range. And if they're sitting on the balcony, that's where you're looking at Pacheco and Bittner dealing all the damage.
That's exactly what I wanted to see there. You know, Fishy sprays that first blood, and after we swapped to his camera, I'm like, how did he get that through there? It goes actually all the way under Alex, and that's just not an angle I don't think Alex was expecting to get hit from. That plays far enough deep of a fire spit to kind of bounce back with the radius of fire spit and actually connect with a target that is up on the enemy high ground. Nicely played by Fishy. That was the spot. He got that dialed in, man. Some of those fire spits, he was waiting, I don't know, 3-4 seconds before even firing the rocket. Those were long-range explosions that Mousesports just couldn't adjust for.
And that's one of the things about Bright Marsh, even though this is a map that is really good for some teams, especially when you have been able to dominate on it in the past, Drogos is just phenomenal on this map. Blasters are phenomenal on this map, and as the way Pacheco is playing it, the way FNATIC's playing it, they know it like the back of their hand, and he is handling Mouse with it. Let alone the fact that the rest of the team is giving him the kind of zone that he needs to be able to just stay safe.
Oh boy. Cephacloud really reaching for a play there. Hexafire doesn't find much as he's forced to cancel it back off, but unable to escape with his life. And that's just the theme. They don't have a Nara, but what FNATIC do have is a very lethal backline and two typically aggressive frontliners, or I guess flexible frontliners, I should say, because Fernando and Ash, they really haven't been doing much to pass half court here. They've kind of been babysitting.
And again, I think it's mainly just to create the little bit of zone that they need to make sure that Bittner and Pacheco are going to be comfortable. I mean, Bittner's on an 11 streak right now. Drogo's once again on a 5 streak. And it's just because they're being able to sit and be babysat. They don't have any pressure being applied to them. I mean, Bittner is just free-firing for most of his engagement. He's going for the style. Not going to be able to get all the kills, but still sets it up for his team.
This is getting a little gross, Score. This is looking easy for FNATIC at the moment. They can't be dove. There's no pressure on Pacheco or Tenor. Unbi and Bugsy are doing a great job keeping control. Look at this fire. Are you kidding me with this fire spit? He almost knocks Ying off the map as well. I mean, good on Mousesports for being able to keep everyone alive in that situation, but the pressure is just absolutely relentless right now.
And it's just unfortunate because Mouse have two champions that could potentially be diving. It's your Talus, it's your Ruckus, but both times they try to dive, or every time they try to dive, it's just death after death after death. They don't have any survivability on that side, and it is just solid coming from FNATIC.
Well, the Immortal will come through to try and keep this front line alive for just a little bit longer here. FNATIC health bars running low here, but the push still looking strong. Mousesports health bars are running even lower, and that will spell the 4-0 victory for FNATIC in Game 1 of this best of 5. Very good start for them. Unbelievable, seems to have slotted in perfectly, and to an extent, performing a role that I think Theo would have as well. Anara unpicked, unbanned in that game, and both of those kind of flex aggro front lines for FNATIC.
It's really weird because in my mind I want to say maybe there's something champion pool wise, but I know that Theo as well as Unbi can both play all front lines competitively to the point where that's not going to make a big difference. It has to be maybe a personality thing coming through to make the team feel comfortable, because that's part of the reason that he was taken away from Navi. It wasn't because he wasn't skilled, something Rainday said earlier. It was just because when it came into it, Lazy was a better fit. But it doesn't really matter when you have something like this. It was a very comfortable zone from the front lines and very comfortable damage from literally everyone else on FNATIC.
Comfort, comfort. And how could you be uncomfortable when you go deathless there? Enlightenments and presences and graces aplenty for young Tenor. Very good start, and that's what's important for FNATIC, especially for Pacheco and for Bittner. They need to have good starts in these games, hitting some beautiful damage there, connecting on the multiple targets. No kills outright, but Tenor still gets it done on Leon. That was kind of the theme of game number 1. It didn't feel like Bugsy and Unbi had to take too many risks there. There was just so much pressure from the fire spit alone. anytime somebody was trying to dive for Mousesports, they were just unsuccessful.
And that's where I kind of want to see that get pushed. I want to see the draft get away from the Drogos and the Leon, or Mouse take that away from them, because, I mean, that's two big comfort picks for FNATIC, for Bidner as well as Fasheko. So get them away from that. Try to make them uncomfortable, and then start trying to exploit whatever you can. It is very difficult to try and beat a team, even with a new member, if the three main core people are getting champions that they play like the back of their hand.
That was Mouse's pick as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Bright Marsh was their selection. FNATIC have selected Ascension Peak.
Yikes.
So not only did they steal away the Mousesports map pick, they managed to do it in like 6 minutes or so. And then they head to Ascension Peak, a map where they would probably be a little bit more comfortable. Four front lines, are banned out here right out of the gate. FNATIC will first pick Cassie.
Something very solid. We've seen it played by several of their members, so you never really know where it's going to go. It's very ambiguous. This time, Inara is going to get picked up. Makoa as well
weird.
Coming through. Very different. I can't think of a FNATIC that wouldn't go for a Makoa first, except for the fact that now they don't have Theo.
Well, here's an interesting little scenario building for us. All these frontliners banned out. Makoa and Inara taken away. Mousesports banned specifically the front lines that FNATIC were able to run last game. Drogos has remained unpicked, unbanned through very deep in the draft. He is still open, but Mouse do have a Leon, which is a fairly decent counter out to the Drogos pick. They also have their Willow. I actually really like Mousesports draft at the moment, man.
I mean, they only need a support, and honestly, anyone who's available, Furia probably going to get locked in here. And Inflame with a Willow and a Leon is going to be insane. Makoa and Nara. Mouse have a much stronger draft, like just hands down. I don't think there's a way to like even say FNATIC. Like Ruckus is okay, Cassie's all right. I'm not a big fan of the Barrack. I know how you feel about him. Zen has not been doing too well. The only thing on their team that I can say, or the two things on their team that save it, is the Cassie Maldamba, but that's not where most of the fight is.
That's what I'm agreeing with, man. This is weird. This is a strange draft from FNATIC. Just on paper, I would vote Mousesports 10 times out of 10 here, but it is FNATIC. It is their map pick. I assume they have something up their sleeve for Mousesports here. If Mouse don't win with this draft, I don't know what hope there is for them in this set, though, because I think they got an absolutely perfect draft for the fall split of the PPL.
That is pretty much where things will fall for them. I mean, again, we're looking not necessarily at FNATIC looking for just a win. They're looking for a 3-0. They need it as fast as possible, and they need it to be clean. Mouse, on the other hand, if they find a win, not only do they get to cause one of the biggest upsets I think we could see in EU, but we also get to see them potentially pulling FNATIC down, and like we said, to the rest of them, I guess, where Mouse will be in the placements, as opposed to being up towards the top.
The new title here being rocked by Fasheko. I like it. I like it. I like it. Jera and the gang here. It looks like, is that big game from Tenor? What is Tenor's legendary there? Or is that just Breathe?
Big game.
It is big game coming through here for Tenor. I mean, even in the more vanilla picks that they've got going here, and he did land that disengage, now swinging for a 1250 a shot against Cephacloud every time that disengage is hit. Let's take a look at the loadout here and actually get dive a little bit deeper, I think, into what Tenor is pulled out here. Of course, just some straight up CDR reduction, man. Break it down for us, Core.
I mean, the cooldown of Disengage is probably the big one because it's going to go well, and Bidner's probably the best one to go with it. Kinetics is the typical card you always have in this. And then ammo count by 1. I actually like Quiver 1 in this just because of all the things that are in his loadout. It gives him that extra shot for that extra damage.
This is Fuselage Drogos, but it's Cassie bolts flying around at the speed of sound. Cephacloud better watch himself. He is under some serious pressure right now, and you can see Tenor knows it. He knows that he's hard countering Cephacloud with this. Maybe he puts a little bit of effort in NTbees as well, but at the moment, that misroll may have costed him his life. It will. Tenor will drop down. Unbelievable. Gets dragged into a Pyre Strike, and it's Mousesports winning this first engagement here on Ascension Peak.
Lucky for FNATIC, though, they were able to get 42% before anybody started falling, but this is not the way I think anyone envisioned this fight going. It's now starting to pick up for Mouse. They've gotten 3 kills, and so far I don't think dropped a single one being able to set up. Fury has Inflame already, fastest charging ult next to Scout in the game. And Scout's going to come through just to try and give FNATIC an advantage to get back here and have some control.
Well, they are indeed scouted out here. Cephacloud under some pressure now. You can see how much damage he knows he's going to take once that disengage connects. NTbees has picked up the Iron Maiden skin. And though their front line isn't quite as superior as Mousesports, FNATIC have done a good job stalling out the capture point, but that's just Ascension Peak for you.
Seismic Crash gets a couple stuns, no big follow-up, but as long as they can hold on to it. This is part of the reason we were surprised we didn't see Inara last time. Bees is just kind of standing on the point, doing exactly what he needs, and then if Solar Blessing Pyre Strike comes through and he's full health again. He doesn't have anything to really worry about. Maldamba trying to get something with this Dread Serpent, but that's overtime ticking in favor of Mouse.
NTbees beautiful counter there to the Dread Serpent, just pops his Earthen Guard, gets his CC immunity thanks to Mother's Grace, and keeps on plugging away. Another Earthen Guard as he's going to move in here, trying to capitalize on this kill onto Bugsy. He will find it. Gera is about half HP, slithers on. It looks like FNATIC are starting to panic a little bit. Everyone diving onto this objective as Mousesports just slowly tighten the noose. NTbees will survive the spite from Xin. Fisheko unable to take him down. Solar Blessing heals, full resets, extra lives, counters, and outplays Mousesports with a beautiful draft here. One that just looks uncrackable. Proves to be exactly that as they take the first payload of Ascension Peak.
And Cephicloud is playing Makoa perfectly. He's getting aggressive. He recognizes the danger he might be in coming down from the Cassie, and he's been popping that shield or retreating whenever he needs to the point where it's been safe. He's getting beautiful hooks being able to set up, except for that one, of course, as I mentioned it, but every other hook that I have watched has been being able to set up his team, either to find a kill that's on a big target like Bittner, or to be able to set someone like Unbelievable pretty much out of the way so that no one on his team can help.
Shell shielding, trying to make some room for Angedoodle, the Solar Blessing. Zoinks him right back to full HP here. FNATIC a little bit split up, not sure which way they are be pressuring this one out. Enflame is popped right as the hook connects, and Doodle and Cephicloud come raging through the lower tunnels here to find 2 kills. Now they're moving to clear out the high ground where the fight hasn't already gone Mousesports' way. More kills for Mousesports here, as now they are in control of FNATIC's map, just as FNATIC was in control of theirs.
You know, we saw the polls swing 9% for the last map, up to like 30-something% here for Mouse just because of their draft. But if you get a draft like this and you play it well the way that Mouse is right now, there's going to be pretty much no team that can beat it. This is a solid draft. You get some of the top-tier champions in pretty much every single role. And with the way FNATIC has been playing, it, like you said earlier, feels a little timid, feels a little rushed.
Oh my goodness, Tenor drops his whole combo into a railing. Misses out on a lot of damage onto Cephicloud, who goes on to continue to be effective in the fight. And it's Mousesports with a 2-0 lead on Ascension Peak. You know, we questioned the draft, but we still admittedly gave FNATIC the benefit of the doubt, as I think we often do, in saying, oh, well, they are FNATIC. Maybe they got some type of plan here. Whatever that plan is, doesn't appear to be working out in practice, as Mousesports just look indomitable with this draft.
And the thing that catches my eye is the fact that it's Bugsy on the Barrack as well as Unbelievable on Ruckus. I feel like that would be flopped in any other kind of scenario. I feel like Bugsy would be the Ruckus player because it makes a little bit more sense. For me, he's the flex. He's the one who would be playing a little bit more damage-oriented, trying to get a little bit more aggressive. But instead, he's going to be the one standing on the point.
That's just that week 1 type of vibe. I could see it going either way because Unbe has played a ton of Ruckus in his past, basically any time before Phoenix came into the picture for Na'Vi, but maybe that's just some figuring out that they've got to do. Solar Blessing comes through, juices Cephicloud back to full HP, and the assault begins anew. Unbelievable is forced back on the Ruckus. Everyone forced in a corner here. Doodle feeling confident enough to flutter up into the air, very aggressive into the back line. 2 kills already for Mousesports, and I don't see where the reprieve comes from. Unbelievable just trying to, I don't know, stall the objective, if even for a mere second or two.
It definitely didn't go the way I think he expected. And that's one of the things about Ruckus that I feel like you don't see as often. You always feel like you're tanky because your shield is going to give you a ton of health. You should have a ton of health. You get some damage reduction when you dash. You still die incredibly fast. And I feel like that's what Unbelievable just experienced, is that moment where you just don't know what to do. 99% a second time in a row here for Mousesports. And this map, even though they're starting to get pushed back, is still looking solid for them.
Oh, no, that Solar Blessing misses Cephicloud. He really needed that there, but I think he actually just got out of combat or got a heal or something. Fisheko is so close to being able to clean that one up. Fisheko's doing a lot of damage here, but it has to come from elsewhere on FNATIC. They need more help. And this is in a bit of an unconventional pick. Not able to lift the weight entirely on its own. 2 minutes and 18 seconds as Mousesports go back-to-back on the objective, and could 4-0 FNATIC here.
A 14 streak for Cephicloud as well. The hooks, like I said earlier, have been on point. And as long as you set them up, right, you've got Leon, you've got what would counter Willow on your side, and all of the anti-heal in the world. There's no way that Barrick is ever going to feel comfortable against this kind of draft, and I feel like that's where their benefits have been coming from. Point control, they have a Nara plus Dead Zone plus Death and Taxes. There's literally nowhere that FNATIC can stand and feel like they're going to get enough healing.
Well, here it comes, a little bit of pressure now. A couple of ultimates used from Mousesports. The Fae Flight up into the air. Unable to find any kills so far. Bugsy in a bit of a situation here. He's going to rocket boots away. His bowling ball shield will bail him out for now, but it won't bail out Unbelievable. Alex finds a kill. NTbees picks one up. That's 3 for nothing as Bugsy and Gara just scuttle back into spawn, fighting for their lives.
You know, I asked if Alex needed a standout game. I guess just all of Mouse wanted a standout game for themselves because this is looking incredible. A minute left and the payload's still almost there, but one wipe, especially on a map as wide as Ascension Peak, could give FNATIC some breathing room, especially a kill right here, but so far no one's going to come through. Fasheko forced a retreat from Alex, who was 1 hit away.
Mousesports will push it through. I don't like that interaction. I think Leon stays invulnerable too long there. You know, she got countered out there. That enlightenment got countered, but she was still invulnerable when that projectile actually came through. I thought that was Fasheko going to confirm that kill. Split in airs, doesn't really matter. That is a 4-0 for Mousesports. Taking a map from FNATIC, we talked about that, is exactly what FNATIC didn't want to happen coming into today.
And now even being able to look forward, right, that's at the worst right now for FNATIC, a 3-1. And that's going to give them 2 losses, 1 against NIP, 1 against Mouse, that so far NIP's not looking for. When you're looking at the standings, that matters. Same thing that matters, a 1-6 Bittner, an 0-7 Bugsy, and a 1-10 Unbelievable. That did not go any way they wanted. Mouse won that in the draft.
They certainly did. Doodle here, 8-1. I thought he and Cephacloud combined beautifully to play around each other. You saw a lot of moments where Cephacloud was shell shielding Doodle, opening up angles for him to attack through, get his Fae Flight off the ground. There was a couple of great Inflames that helped to combine for one of the more important Mousesports backline carries to be able to go to work.
And it was just beautiful angles. Actually, a lot of times where you saw him get aggressive in a scenario Willow normally wouldn't get aggressive. I mean, even right here, that's not where Willow usually fights on Ascension Peak. This is her home, the balcony. You're on the high ground. You have vision on the point. You can get a lot of good damage. This is where you're mostly going to play. The fact that he dashes in like this, he's getting in the face of FNATIC, showed that Mouse were very confident.
And that does show a lot of good signs for Mousesports. You're absolutely right. The fact that they've been abused all split long, they are winless at the moment. They just got dumpstered in map 1.
Yeah.
The fact that they can come back and bounce on Ascension Peak and have this type of performance where they can still in their minds recognize, we have a good draft. This is a good fight for us. Let's get aggressive here. Let's actually win this fight. And they do just that. 4-0, 4-0. Back to FNATIC's pick. It's Serpent Beach.
This is where things could fall apart for Mouse, because I feel like this is where they have been just huggingly gripping this Kinessa. They want her on this map for some reason, whether or not it works for them in 1 week. Like you had said, all the Alex highlights we had that played were Kinessa on this map, but they were in week 1. So you're having to look at changing a little bit of that up.
Yeah.
And I'm a little anxious for it just because they've banned the Leon. Whatever they banned second, I feel like that's where they're trying to drive it.
Well, FNATIC have a lot to change. They have a lot to look at here. I could think you could point to almost anything in that draft outside of the Cassie and the Maldamba, like you mentioned. I think those are pretty plug and play. They're not really first and second picks for me, though. Those aren't like draft definers for me. Inara is, and FNATIC will take it for the first time. I wondered why it was taking so long. I mean, this is Unbee's pick. This is what he used to play. This is what Lazy stepped in to play because he left that void in Navi's composition in their roster, and now this is really what I think is what he's bringing to this roster. This is what Theo didn't do for FNATIC.
Being able to play something that is just stand there, take damage, get healed. That's your job. It sucks sometimes when you're in Nara. It's not going to be the most, I want to say, entertaining. But a lot of the times, the 2 people that are going to be making the most important calls are going to be your frontline, your support. The ones that are kind of sitting back, they're safe, they see the entire battlefield. And you go back to the Zen. I want to say 4 out of 5 of FNATIC's draft. I think Zen is okay on this map. But, I mean, against a Drogo, an Ashe, a Makoa, the Tyra actually coming through. I was going to say the Kinessa that they're probably going to end up picking, maybe still going to be good because he can get back there. Maybe still going to be good against the Tyra, but, I mean, 4 out of 5, I'd still give it to Mouse.
I tend to agree, man. I think Mouse still gets a little bit of a better draft here than FNATIC. I think Zen looked like it almost worked on Ascension Peak.
Yeah.
I think mostly because of who Fasheko is as a player and less so as who Xin is as a champion. Guys, cast your vote now in the Mixer poll. Who you think is going to take this one? Just in the draft phase, I'm still leaning a little bit towards Mouse here. This is a map as well that, like we mentioned, FNATIC's pick, but this is a place that Mousesports is not exactly uncomfortable here. I think they tend to do fairly well on Surfer Beach.
If I go back to like pre-show topics when I'm sitting around this morning and I was thinking of them, and I say, all right, so you're in a scenario and it's 1-1 and 2 games in a row you've decided that Mouse had a better draft, and immediately you just cut me off like that's never going to happen. Like that's not something FNATIC usually lets go through. So the fact that Mouse have been able to get a good draft, Andrew Doodle is on Drogo's, a very comfortable map, and champion for this kind of combination. I'm looking again towards Alex. If Alex can just play this Tyra at just a par level, then this is going to be Mouse being able to control the game.
I mean, that's a lot of bonus damage coming out between these hunting parties and this Inflame from Volko, which we know he's been able to charge this up just so quickly. There is 2 frontliners as well, either of which that can combine with Solar Blessing Fury to kind of be the force that Inara is. Look at this. NTbees heads right down to the objective to contest this Inara. Bugsy throws up the wall, and it will be the first blood as Bugsy and Fasheko are forced to teach NTbees an unforgettable lesson. And it is worth noting that it is Bugsy on the Inara. Not unbelievable.
That is something that we've seen a little bit in the past. I feel like I've recognized Bugsy on this Inara before, but I think it's more important to note how much Mouse has slowly been climbing. They went from 9% to 41% by now.
91 to 9 and 59 to 41.
And that is just such a big, not only testament to them, but what they've been able to accomplish, as well as the draft. I mean, Bugsy, it's not exactly his home. Like you said, Unbelievable always played this for Na'Vi. It's not outlandish to see him on it, but it's just different. It's something difficult, I think, for FNATIC even, to look at the fact that they have the Inara, they have a draft that should give them the point control, and they're down 54-12.
Really nice rotation of cooldowns from Bugsy. As the Earthen Guard falls off, he throws up the wall, but he's still unable to make it out alive. Unscathed is not an adjective that he can use this time around. 84% for Mousesports. Cephacloud just barely alive. Doodle holding things down. The knockback, it's small, but it's enough to keep Unbelievable away from the point and allow Mousesports to go back to back on payloads here in games 2 and 3.
And this has been one of the toughest maps, I think, for them this split. Again, coming through, it's been a lot of Kinessa on this map. It's been a lot of Tyra that hasn't worked out. But this time around, when you accompany it with something like Andrew Doodle on Drogo's, you start feeling a lot more confident. I'm still surprised to see them get as aggressive as they have on the point initially. The fact that Bees was first blood is almost completely erased by the fact that once he came back and the rest of Mousesports just controlled that zone.
Did Fasheko switch to Guillotine? That seemed like it went through Ash pretty quickly there. I thought Yomi was the selection, no, but it was Guillotine when he ended up coming out of the base, so that explains that. He picks up a morale boost as well, and Bugsy scooped from the high ground, thrown off the map by Cephacloud. That's 2 high-profile picks now that Mousesports are working with. Fasheko able to answer back onto Alex, but it's a 3-for-1 trade overall, and Mousesports have all the momentum in this first round.
And you're still seeing Combustible, but honestly, Fusillade would work just as well. Unbelievable, Andrew Doodle has been hitting a lot of these direct shots, a lot into Unbelievable right there, making his health bar just plummet. Pretty much anyone on FNATIC who gets in his way. He has been hitting phenomenal shots. And when you're looking at this hook, you're looking at the setup that it's giving, and the fact that they're shutting down Fernando. It's just so good for Mouse.
He gets under the Solar Blessing as well. The Hunting Party plus the Inflame. Cephacloud on Makoa is shooting for 1,066 damage per shot, and he was hitting them all. Beautiful angles being played here up onto the high ground. It's called the carry corner by Gormizer, but right now it is owned by a front line. He's got his Ancient Rage as well. He could look to go ripping in here. Fasheko goes down. Cephacloud is playing insane this round. He has done so much.
He's on an 8 streak. I'm going to go ahead and consider him a carry. Unbelievable, though, does not belong in the corner. I think that's why he has been getting taken down every time he tries to step up. Bittner gets pulled in. Bittner goes down. One more shot. No! Finds the turnaround at 200 health. Just enough to be able to get through, and that is going to be Cephacloud, I think's first death.
But the salvo just rips down. Here comes the Dragon Punch as well. What the? It looks like it was actually saved by the Immortal there just at the last possible second. Crossfire is up and available. Unbelievable. Taking a lot of damage from Alex up here on the high ground. He has taken the carry corner. He's looking to play this pillar as well. But look at the pressure from FNATIC. It's starting to surmount heavily. 0 for 1 on the scoreboard right now. Mousesports might be slowing down. And FNATIC, I think, tightening the noose, maybe wanting to keep themselves alive in this round and keep themselves from going down 0-2 yet again.
This is one of the few maps I think it's okay to go 1-1 on, but so far Bees and the crew are just not giving up on this. Bugsy, though, and Nara, so difficult to displace, so difficult to try and shut down, especially with them all down, but pretty much only targeting Bugsy here to make sure that he stays alive. Mouse doing whatever they can. They're throwing damage, they're getting kills, but it's just longevity. Respawn proximity is in favor of FNATIC.
Look at this, yet another Solar Blessing, yet another extra life. It's Ash versus Inara on the objective. So many kills have gone either way. Mousesports find 2 more. Bugsy's just trying to get everyone's attention. He's trying to force all the damage pressure onto himself. Gara's keeping him alive. Doodle finds FNATIC. It's kill after kill, but they have to come quicker if Mousesports is going to get this one through. They pop the Inflame. They're hitting the gas pedal. They want to get this one done here. Andrew Doodle up in the air with the Inflame. Bugsy can't quite take him down. He'll throw up yet another wall. The Crossfire. Will it be enough to punch this one through? Bugsy finally falls down. FNATIC from the high ground cannot be there in time to contest, and Mousesports will go up 2-0. What an overtime, man. That lasted forever.
And they did exactly what they needed to. They only used 2 ults at the end of that to be able to find it. Inflame, which like we'd said earlier, Bolka is charging up like it's nothing. And then the Crossfire, which admittedly Tyra only needs in those kinds of moments when it's just I need to burn through anybody standing in front of me. You still have an Ancient Rage. You still have a Dragon Punch as well as an Assert Dominance. Yes, FNATIC are going to come in with 4 of their 5 ults, but the 3 you have are going to give you survivability and a free kill onto Bugsy.
6-3 for FNATIC, and that is where the rainbow ends. 1-6, 1-3, 1-8. Agent 006 ain't too bad as a support here for FNATIC, but at the moment they are just not looking themselves. This is very reminiscent of their actual spring performance on Serpent Beach here. Tenor needs to get off the ground. Bugsy's just not on something he can carry with anymore. He's being contested on the objective. They're putting him through his paces as well. With this hunting party, Mousesports really has a decent amount of damage to go around.
Spike, Guillotine going to get rid of Bees. Cephicloud going down. This is the moment FNATIC can finally get aggressive and start taking out kills. Mousesports looking like they're all going to fall. Bolka falls back as well as Alex going to stay alive. But that was exactly what they needed. The Spike coming through, the Guillotine specifically being run by FNATIC, is buying them a lot of time. Just being able to kill Bees, kill off Cephicloud, one of the 2, and then set up the other one for failure.
Well, Cephicloud is probably going to be the first one back to the objective, but he gets absolutely obliterated by Big Game. Cassie stunned out. Bolka trying to give FNATIC the hands. It looks like it will be Assert Dominance down on the objective just to try and keep the hopes for Mousesports alive. Unbelievable finds Doodle deep in the back line. Here comes the Solar Blessing. NTbees has to catch this one. Bugsy actually absorbs it, but Bees will eventually get in there. And look at this. Unbelievable has taken up the mantle of Flank Nando here. He kills not only the Drogos, but the Tyra and the Furia as well. Unbelievable looking for the 4 kill, almost the 5 kill. Unbelievable is slaying everyone at the moment. The newest member of FNATIC stepping up.
Ancient Rage swung in his face. That's 99% for FNATIC, so Mouse have to focus on the point. But look at them, 69, rising, continually holding onto it. Unbelievable is really the only one being able to apply pressure that might get back. Bugsy's going to be here, but that's the Dragon Punch. He's going to get immortaled out once again. And now Andrew Doodle's going to have to fall back and figure it out, but he bought time.
Wow, Mousesports take it away. Up 3 points to nothing over FNATIC. We talked about, oh man, FNATIC can't lose one map. They're about to lose a second Gormizer.
I mean, this means everything.
Are
if
they
you're
gonna
NIP,
lose this
you're
set?
sitting there just greedily
What if they lose
smiling.
this set? This is just, it's unaccounted for. It is pure, unadulterated upset happening right now.
And I want to bring the quote out of that this was to bring in a better FNATIC than what we have seen. So far, Mouse is just looking insane. I want to give them full credit. I don't think this is FNATIC playing poorly. There's a lot of moments that they're doing everything in their power to try and stop Mouse in their tracks. I think Mouse have figured out their draft. They figured out their team. The same thing I said in week 1 is finally coming true. I wanted to see Mouse in week 3. I want to see Mouse in week 4. And so far, they've delivered.
Unbelievable is not, he's not playing poorly or anything.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, these drafts from FNATIC do not feel very strong. They don't feel like themselves. Mousesports is getting so many heavyweight picks here, popping the Enflame. Everyone's under the Shell Shield. Everyone is looking good here. Doodle may have jumped the gun slightly on the engage, but even he stays alive. Even these little 50-50 coin flip, kind of risky maneuvers from Mousesports are going unpunished, and then it gets turned around into a kill on a Bugsy in the backline. This is the type of stuff that upsets are made out of when things get sloppy down the stretch here from FNATIC.
And I've just been watching the health bars in the top right the entire time, right? You don't even need to watch the gameplay. You can see the story when everyone gets pretty much teetering on death. They're about to die. Andrew Doodle, Bolka, Alex. Someone's about to die, and then all of a sudden they bump back up. With Bolka gone, finally that damage is going to be at least semi-permanent and force Mouse to fall out of combat, fall back, get out of the lines of sight of FNATIC. So as long as you can keep that support under wraps, you're going to be golden. But 72%, Bolka's been charging up these inflames like crazy. It's going to be coming up soon. If you're looking at a way to end it, the ults that are coming online for Mouse are going to be the biggest way.
FNATIC have a Seismic Crash and a Dread Serpent. 2 massive CC ultimates as well as a Spike coming up. Unbelievable, the first to fall here. Oh my goodness, if the gas pedal gets hit, it could get ugly for FNATIC. So far, it's a 3-for-1, or 2-for-1, excuse me, in favor of FNATIC. Spending ultimates on either side. Fasheko
nice
spent
shot.
his spite. Tenner's going to find a frag here from distance onto Alex. The last couple of seconds starting to expire off the clock, and it's actually good thanks to Tenner. He hits a huge disengage that will save the round from any further turmoil.
And all the kills, like everything that was coming down, it was Bittner. He's 7 and 8, but a lot of that damage towards the end was being able to deal with Andrew Doodle, deal with Bolka, Alex, Bees, anyone.
What was he, 1 and 6?
Oh, yeah.
At the start of round 2? I mean, what a turnaround for Tenner. That's what FNATIC needed. Jumps from 1 and 6 to 7 and 8. Huge round for the kid. Second on damage as well. Alex still kind of struggling on this Tyra here. 3 and 6. He's bringing a lot of utility, a lot of unseen positives, though, in the hunting party. We've already seen it when Cephacloud was attacking with Enflame Wings as well. That Makoa swinging for over 1,000 damage per cannonball.
Jeez.
I mean, God bless the poor soul that goes up against a Makoa with 5,700 HP, 30% move speed, and like 55% increased damage.
And a hook to boot, being able to pull you in so you can't really escape. He is always going to be prevalent, and I think that's part of the reason Cephacloud right now is being able to get as aggressive as he is. It's a little dangerous as you see the shots coming through from Bittner, but still a lot of pressure applied to FNATIC on the left-hand side of the map, right-hand side if you're looking from their perspective, and they forced the Immortal already.
Big base drop here, the healing. Oh, so many times Andrew Doodle has just barely come away alive. Tenner misses one shot that allows him to live. That fireball animation just barely doesn't complete, and that allows him to live. That's what I'm talking about. These little hair-splitting things that if we didn't catch them on the broadcast, we wouldn't be able to tell this story. But Doodle has really escaped by the skin of his teeth 2 times this round so far and allowed him to continue to have this big impact over here on the left-hand side.
Good rockets, good holding Andrew Doodle in the perfect area. And again, that Immortal was important that it was popped because that's 97% right now on the Dragon Punch, although it doesn't look like he's going to need it to kill off Bugsy. He's incredibly low. There's a Spite to get rid of Cephacloud, but here goes Bugsy. Actually, there goes Doodle.
Wow, that Dread Serpent may have just saved this round for FNATIC, buying so much time, hitting 3 people in the back line. That Dragon Punch, you could hear the voice cue wanted to get going there. He wanted to get that one started to be wound up, and it has CC immunity, so if he got it started, he would have been able to actually finish the launch there. But Guerra, I think, down the stretch makes a huge play with his ultimate. Can anyone from Mousesports touch, though? Comeback mechanic is in play for FNATIC, so they're capturing faster and faster, and one nicely placed wall from Bugsy will keep them alive for now.
Cephacloud just beating on the wall on the other side, hoping it will go down at some point. And unfortunately, an Nara wall, you can't really burn through it. You can't really take it down. You just have to be patient and either hope that Bugsy accidentally hits the button again and takes it down himself, or you wait it out. Unfortunately for Mouse, time was of the essence. Comeback mechanic makes it easy for FNATIC to be able to come through and hold on to that one. But now, it seems to be maybe a trip back to where they just were. The kills are starting to come back through for Mouse.
Yeah, fun fact about Inara that Bugsy may or may not have leveraged there is her deployables. The Warder's Field and the Wall both benefit from Earth and Guard damage reduction as well, so you can keep those 2 things extremely tanky. The Wall is already one of the hardest things to bring down in the game. You probably won't do it unless you have Bulldozer 3 or you literally Hexafire it. And even if, I bet you if you put up the Wall and Earth and Guarded it, it would probably survive a Hexafire too.
It is a dangerous thing.
It's a thick boy.
It is a very thick wall. It is very difficult to break down. The ice, at least for this skin, is made of something special. And it's good at locking in members like NTbees as well, or locking them out depending on where it is. Bugsy's been using it very defensively, but very appropriately every single step of the way. Part of the reason he hasn't died as much in this set has been where he places these walls between him and the rest of Mouse. When it's on the defense, when it's on the point, no matter what, he has been comfortable with his placements.
Look at the crossfire here. Just to take down NTbees, but it's not enough. Everybody jumping off the map for the reset there, feeding Angedoodle more kills and more kills all the while. FNATIC call that one off, go home, spend some credits. They have plenty of ultimates, 10 ultimates available, 10 champions in the game. So this next team fight could be one for the history books. 38 seconds on the clock though. FNATIC are nearly back into position, ready to push this one through. But what an absolute fight this has turned into. Not at all the match we expected going into this.
My eyes are on FNATIC. How much do they want to commit to try and turn this into a 3-3 scoreline? Because that's the best they can do here, is tie it up. They can't win the game. And coming right around the back, a good salvo, but not as much damage as I think Andrew wanted to do right there. So he's going to fall back, but Bugsy's solo. One more shot will do it, but he's missing all of them.
Really nice sidestepping by Bugsy. It's actually enough to keep him alive by just a hair, though. And Gara will fall all the same. Fire Spit around the corner is going to clean up Tenor. Bugsy manages to be the last one standing despite being almost the first one dead there and pulled straight into the rocket. Angedoodle has had an absolutely insane game on Drogos, but what else would we really expect at this point?
12-8, 11-11, but like you had said earlier, that's pretty much where it stops. 1-9, 8-16, 1-3. FNATIC have not been able to kind of bring out the numbers they normally do. Whereas on the other side, I mean, Angedoodle's 19, 7, and 16. He's got a lot of damage, and it's getting converted into kills. That's one of the biggest things. Drogos and Cassie can pad their stats as much as they want. They can get a ton of poke throughout a game, but it is when you are able to turn that into those 19 kills, those 16 assists, that it makes a big difference for you. And Mouse, they're kind of riding the back of this Drogos, but again, when you're looking at the lineup, that's what they want. Alex doesn't have to have this phenomenal performance on Tyra. He just has to play at least par, which so far he's been much better than just the average Tyra, to be able to make this work for them.
Just needs to hit his hunter's marks, you know? Not too big of an ask, I think. Fire Spit will land there. Scout it out. Everyone from FNATIC has all the information they could ever want to make a decision with. Doodle not sure which way he wants to go. It's immortaled out yet again, and it's a 4-for-0 trade. Wow. Costs them almost every ultimate, but FNATIC do manage to accomplish their goal. They have the half comeback mechanic enabled at the moment, and Mousesports still have 4 of their 5 ultimates to fight with.
They have just enough time to be able to come back, and especially if you can get a kill on a Pacheco like that, you have perfectly the amount of time you need to be able to get back. And Flame has been popped. They're getting aggressive. They're looking for Bugsy, but they kind of recognize that this is going to be a very difficult fight overall. 72 to 39% right now.
Unbelievable goes down as well. It all started with Fishy getting picked out on the zone. You hate to see it, but that's the way the cookie's crumbling at the moment there. That Solar Blessing misses on the Sephi, but it'll probably be inconsequential because FNATIC have been forced all the way out of this. Now, Mousesports don't have a way to keep the Sonara away from the objective. Pacheco will burn a cooldown just to get in and touch. The overtime is coming here. The Dread Serpent lands, but there's no follow-up for him. Bugsy's being tossed on the objective right now. He just cannot fight any longer. This looks like, and it is, the second map of this series going to Mousesports. Oh my goodness gracious, it is a 2-1 lead. Mousesports are on the brink of upsetting FNATIC. That would be 2 weeks in a row that FNATIC falls.
I mean, whether or not they get this next win, they've already done pretty much what NIP are hoping for. They're like, wait, you guys just took 2 more losses plus the one that they had to NIP earlier in the split. The way things have been going, I mean, this is shaping up for FNATIC to fall not only from first place, but potentially out of a bye to HRX.
NIP have to play these boys later on in the day. Mousesports is going to be coming in hot to that set. This looks like it could just be their day at the moment. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Mousesports. Their drafts are solid. Their play is even better. For me, I'm really looking at Doodle. He's getting his champion, though. He has really come alive today. But for me, it's almost a little bit more of Cephacloud. I think, obviously, he's on Makoa, who's a pretty traditionally strong champion as well. He's had a great performance. But you got to give credit to the captain, NTbees, the man who has stuck with this squad for so long. Different players, different strategies, different metas. Something seems to be working for them today. I don't know what it was. I don't know what he put in the team Wheaties, but he needs to go buy more of it.
Well, and look at the damage numbers he was able to spot. There was no time, I think, that he wasn't essentially just fighting anyone on FNATIC that he could see. He was always in their face, always trying to deal something. And granted, since a lot of that's against Inara, it's going to get healed off. But the fact that he was always being proactive, he was always being in the middle of it, I think that's what made the biggest difference. Ashe is probably one of the few champions that he always goes back to. Whether she's in meta or not, he would love it. But with the way we've seen her on the rise, this was a big pickup for them.
It's been really good for them. I think if they can just keep this draft momentum going, you know, FNATIC did some weird stuff on Ascension Peak, didn't work out for them. Didn't quite work out on Serpent Beats, but they started to get a little bit more back to normalcy, a little bit more of what we would expect from them, a little bit more of what we've seen become strong over here in the fall split. So let's head to maps here and keep this series moving. It's a hot one. It's way better than we expected, way more competitive. And right now, the team that we expected to get rolled in 3 games is currently up 2-1. Mousesports moving into Jaguar Falls. This is FNATIC's map pick still, because it is loser's pick from game 3 on, and of course FNATIC did lose. They've got one more game to give.
Historically, I've called this probably one of FNATIC's better maps. They've definitely been able to play on it phenomenally. Drogo, Zen, two of the things that they've been kind of trying to gravitate towards in the last couple sets, has been big on this map. But if you get rid of one, you don't really need to worry about Zen as much, I think, on this map. But the other flanks potentially on the rise. We've already seen Mouse kind of reach down for a Talus. Maybe they'll try something different here too.
Banning the Drogos is a great call from Mousesports. Inara, the first pick. Is Willow scooping? I think it's worth it. I think you got to scoop the Willow here, man. You know, Fisheko's going to play it. I think if you let him go to him. Ashe, Leon, the choices, though, for Mousesports. They will leave Willow open at least for one more round. And given that they take the Leon, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Leon's a good enough counter to Willow. It's almost like now you send that pick back to FNATIC, you keep it open, and they're just like, I don't know if we want to run that into Leon at this point.
And it's perfect because now you get both of them. Now all of the anti-heals on your side. And we mentioned in the past, what's the best way to deal with an Inara who's getting a ton of healing? Just shut down the healing. If you can stop it, then you're at least getting steps in the right direction. Ruckus, very similar to what I would say about Bright Marsh. This is a good map for him. Not as much high ground for him, but in terms of control and kind of the flank style that you can play him, it's going to be very dominant.
FNATIC go for the Maldombo when Furia is open. Just giving it to Mousesports. 10th pick. Giving them the Furia, giving them the Willow. I guess it doesn't if there's a Willow that's going to be counterplaying it, that doesn't technically matter if you have Solar Blessing or not. Guys, cast your votes. Who you think is going to win this one? It's a little bit closer. I think it's pretty much up to Pip at this point. If he can be that X factor as Pip normally is, I don't know. I still really like Mousesports draft.
I mean, within the last week, I've seen a Pip that made me remember why Pip was picked up so much, specifically by Envy Random Noob being able to play it. And in that kind of style, which is what FNATIC is looking like right here, where he is going to be, not necessarily in your face, but he's going for that blaster. He's not really playing the support. That's just a boon on the side. The fact that he can heal himself and his teammates is a bonus compared to the damage numbers he can output, especially given the right composition or the right moments. This is a good map for him as well. So Fisheko being able to play that, it's something we haven't gotten to see in a long time, especially out of Europe. But I feel like it could look like the playmaker.
Hopefully it can be, because FNATIC certainly need one now more than ever. Tenor still running the big game selection here for Cassie. Is that every single game? No, he played Leon in game 1, but 3 games in a row of big game Cassie. Bugsy back on the Inara. And FNATIC up against the wall here. Mousesports looking to upset them here in game 4 on Jaguar Falls. Mousesports leading 2-1. Tenor will be the first blood here. NTbees rotating out of this fight, but he needs some healing, and Furia, one of the few characters that can get it to him behind walls.
Just inside the dead zone too, coming down from FNATIC, so the healing not going to go their way. It has gone from 91-9 to 51-49. Mouse
still believes.
Has been showing as much as they can, but FNATIC is still FNATIC, and I can agree to a certain extent with you, chat. But the way things are going right now, it's very push and pull. I think whoever can just find 2 kills is going to be able to be the team that pulls this point away and gets themselves a lead.
That Solar Blessing was huge. NTbees needed it more, though. He will fall 48% to 33%. Mousesports in a bit of a situation now as the lead starting to grow for FNATIC. Ultimate's starting to get close to being available as well. Look at this, 71% on Evil Mojo, 80%. Gera is killing everybody at the moment on ult charge. Almost the first one available for FNATIC. Faith Light's there as well, 99% and now full. But is it too late for Mouse?
Bees is here, but Bees is alone with the way things are going, not the way you want to be able to re-engage. And there was a lot that FNATIC did that's appropriate, and I have to give props again to Fish Echo on this pip. Gets on the high ground, hits that difficult jump at the very beginning, pushes the Willow away, makes sure that Ashe isn't able to stand on the point comfortably. A lot of what he was able to do just by himself, let alone with the pressure of an Anar and a Fernando behind him, made it so that they, on the side of Mouse, could not stand on the point.
2 minutes on the clock here. All 5 ultimates available for FNATIC. Mousesports are popping a couple just to pump the brakes here. Inflame Faithlight will be pretty much enough to do just that. They don't get any kills, though. That's the scary part, is FNATIC just backed up a little bit just to weather that storm, and now they can come back in with the full force of all 5 of their ultimates in a row under the Solar Blessing. Cephacloud will look to make his stand. A lot of damage out of this Hexafire. Dear God! Cephacloud just annihilates 3 people from FNATIC all on his own. This play brought to you by Furia, as Cephacloud will pick up the quadra kill. FNATIC simply underestimating the amount of healing coming out of that Solar Blessing, and I think just the duration of Hexafire. That lasted for, I think, a little bit longer than they hoped for.
I feel like my favorite moment of that, it's a good quadra kill, but my favorite moment was where Fish Echo came from, because he was off screen when that started and then bounced in front of the members of FNATIC that we saw Cephacloud shooting towards. That kill may have been gifted to him, may have just been whatever FNATIC was trying to accomplish, but it still gets a quadra kill, it still pushes them back. A minute left is plenty of time, but you do start beating yourself up over small plays like that.
And look who's back to 60% on his Hexafire as well. Cephacloud putting in the work, shutting down some Shrieks, I bet, as well for FNATIC. He boosts himself back onto the objective. If those rockets hit, that would have been a double-double there. And it will be a kill for Alex instead. So much healing going out for Mousesports, who have all their other ultimates still up and available and nearly back on the one that won them that last fight, the Hexafire. All it took, has 25 seconds on the clock. I don't know how much more can come out of FNATIC in this round.
Towards the end of the rounds is when you start looking and trying to guess how much does a team truly want to grab the objective. How much do you want to go up 2-0? Is 1-1 okay with you with how you capture that last point? FNATIC have a couple ults coming online, 4 out of 5 ready. And if they start even throwing out one, then you can expect them to go. Overtime is about to start ticking for them, so they're in that comfort. And they get rid of Cephacloud. That's a great start.
And a beautiful gourd as well from Gera just to keep things rolling. Look at this Fernando. He does go down when it's all said and done. A lot of damage pouring out of Fish Echo, though, at the moment. They're able to combine and take down NTbees, and Evil Mojo is here and available as well. Doodle flutters up into the air. It doesn't pose much of a problem for Fish Echo, who just pegs him with one more shot from the potion launcher. And Cephacloud is moved away from the objective far enough to where FNATIC can just roll it on through.
You can see Fish Echo comes through, double kill onto Bittner, and it's the pressure that's applied immediately. Hexafire gets rid of 2, right? That alleviates pressure from the rest of his team. That allows them to focus on Bugsy, the only one Cephacloud didn't kill. And because of that, you can start seeing things, I think, roll in favor of Mouse. Hexafire has been recharged. Almost all 10 ultimates available in the game. But Mouse at least have that small advantage of having that back. The 6-2-1 Ruckus is definitely a big boost.
Gera at 86%. He'll be there in no time. Dread Serpent is a fairly fast-charging ultimate, and Gera was almost the first one to charge his ultimate, period. Case in point in this game that the supports are a big factor. Gera, with Furia open, made the choice that he wants Maldamba. And you have to imagine it's for the ultimate at that point. It's just for the control. It's just for the maybe level of comfort as well. Evil Mojo comes through, but it doesn't get anyone directly. Cephacloud still goes down all the same. Dread Serpent in the backline just to provide some peel and a kill onto Andrew Doodle. 2-0 for FNATIC.
Comeback mechanic is enabled on the side of Mouse if they're able to get through, and honestly, that's what they need right now. They can't afford to get 4-0'd if they want to try to win the set. Of course, it is more important, more dire for FNATIC to win this, but Echo going to get rid of Bees while he's in mid-air, can't plant the flag. And because of that, 72%, 75% might be 100-0 here for FNATIC.
Beautiful wall there from Inara. Bugsy playing it beautifully. Seismic crash up to the high ground, making it easy for Fish Echo. He's just going to bounce on forward, try and track this kill down. But a big heal from Furia is going to make things a little bit more difficult. Quick little 180 potion toss there. Bugsy helps him finish it through. And FNATIC with a clean 100-0 capture.
3-0 in favor of FNATIC. If they can win this, they tie up the set. Not something I'm used to saying when they're playing up against Mouse. but definitely something that it looks like it's so far well earned. Fisheko again on this pip has been the playmaker. Nothing else has been standing out as just dominantly from FNATIC as this. Similar to when you look at the other side right now, the Ruckus has been doing work, not seeing as many numbers coming down from the Willa, from the Leon. So it does come down to how well can you control Cephacloud versus how well can you control Fisheko.
Well, a good start to the offense here from FNATIC. They're already pushed in about 70 or so % of the way to completion with 1 minute and 30 seconds still on the clock. Cephacloud maybe looking to go back-to-back here with big Hexafires, but FNATIC has done a good job keeping a lid on his accomplishments since that moment. Nice shield from Unbelievable, keeps everyone in a nice little safe haven. Another Evil Mojo comes out, but I'm not seeing who that's hitting. I guess it was NTbees. I didn't see any chickens or any of their silhouettes waddling around. Alex bounces back with 2 of his own, but is it enough to slow down the onslaught of FNATIC? Alex finds a third. Alex could be the rock here for Mousesports, and as Bugsy jumps off the map, Alex would have grabbed his 4th, but Volca stole it away.
I mean, I think for Mouse, honestly, just having the double front line is what gives them that saving grace. Alex picks up the kills. Cephacloud and Bees are kind of trading off on who's on payload guard duty, who can stand there and stop Bugsy, essentially, who's been not leaving this payload, from being able to push it in all the way. But that is precariously close, especially for 40 seconds. You can see FNATIC starting to group up once again. They're taking a lot of poke getting here. So if you can find another kill, maybe 2 for Mouse, this should be a clean round. At least find 1 defense, and then try to use your comeback mechanic next round. But you need to find something soon, or else it's just going to be full health bars FNATIC running straight at you.
Bees keeping up the pressure here on the right-hand side. His shield drops, but the pressure will not so low. These HP bars, he just can't finish the job on his own. But it's enough to keep from FNATIC storming into the base. They don't have the healing to go around to keep everyone nice and healthy. 7 seconds on the clock here for Fisheko, working his way around on maybe a cheeky flank or something. He doesn't have his ultimate back up yet exactly, but he is looking to maybe just tank a new angle, a new perspective. Double Dread Serpent is good for 1 right out of the gate. NTbees falls as well as the healer is hit and unable to pour out healing. Cephacloud cancels that Hexafire. He couldn't get it done.
He had perfect vision. Once the wall went down, Bugsy actually dropped it, and now they're looking to walk it in. Mouse completely fall apart at the end.
Wow, FNATIC bounce back. They're not ready to go down just yet. They're going to force a Game 5 here, taking a 4-0 win on Jaguar Falls. They will send the map pick back to Mousesports, and we'll see what's even left in the tank for them.
In all the scenarios I was running through for today, when I was looking at, okay, how could this go? I was thinking maybe there's going to be a 4-game set and a 3-game set. This one was going to be the 3-game set. It was going to be FNATIC. The fact that either of them have gone to 5 is a big testament to how much Mouse has improved, and also just showcasing what it takes to pull out from FNATIC. The 6-1 Fisheko is pretty much where I'd put my money, though.
I mean, Fisheko, in a lot of ways, has been the saving grace in this set for FNATIC. Even when things were really grim for them on Serpent Beach, though they still lost that game. I mean, there was a moment where they were all super negative or killless, and he was sitting at like 6-3 on the Xin. Ascension Peak, he was looking good on the Xin. He's playing a pip, something he has not done very often this split. Fisheko, very consistent performances for FNATIC, and something they desperately need here against Mousesports. Not something I thought I would ever say, but they need to put this set away. It's already bad enough that they've dropped 2 maps, but losing the set here would be catastrophic.
Control of the high ground and a lot of like double tap, triple tap, I guess, areas when it came down to fighting his 1v1 versus Andrew Doodle on the Willow.
Oof.
Being able to take him down, it was going to be perfect. That's why you didn't see any chickens.
Because it missed.
Turns out.
Oops. And I didn't see a lot of, frankly, Evil Mojo was not.
No.
It was not the winning equation there. I mean, I didn't see many of those come through. I heard 2. I saw none. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he hit 1 at some point during that game. I didn't see it. Maybe you guys at home did at some point. Stone Keep is where it will all come to a close. This is Mousesports selection. But
This is a map, and this is something that we've actually talked about during the last LAN with a lot of the international teams, especially the ones that scrim against FNATIC and Na'Vi a lot. This is where FNATIC and Na'Vi like to go. This is a map that they are very adept at. It's very difficult, especially for a map like this, for a team to not have it in their map pool. But knowing that FNATIC enjoy this map, knowing it's something they don't mind being taken to, I think is going to be a testament to whether or not Mouse can go. But they won Ascension Peak. They beat FNATIC on their map, so it might still work in their favor.
And Drogos will sneak through. That's
I'm going to take back my comment.
a problem right out of the gate for FNATIC, or excuse me, for Mouse. We'll see if Khan is enough to slow it down, but Overpower, one of the more, pretty much the premier part about Khan's kit, is not particularly useful relative to a lot of other maps here on Stone Keep, but Mouse will grab it all the same. FNATIC go back to the Cassie yet again. Tenor, at this point, he's got to be getting in a rhythm.
Yeah.
His 4th game in a row at Cassie in a 5-game set. That's comfort.
I will say FNATIC, one of the things about Drogos that I think will hold true is that even if you took away his ult, he's still going to get picked up a lot because his damage numbers are insane, right? You add in the fact that he has that ult, and it's just perfect. Mouse grabbing up the Zen, the Ashe, the Khan. The damage boost is there, but I don't know if I've seen them play enough Zen, or at least at that same level, that I think I can give it the same benefit of the doubt I give Fasheko.
They stray away from the Willow here for Doodle. He's been owning on the blasters. Unless they pick it up down the stretch there, and it will actually probably be Alex that does play the Zen. Doodle traditionally is the Zen player for Mouse. But it looks like Alex will be asked to flex a little bit today. I don't mind Mousesports draft, but I don't mind FNATIC's either. I think these are equally strong here, and it will come down to the players for Game 5.
There's a lot of punches that are going to beat, I guess, the other side no matter where it comes to. Fernando, Ruckus, I think Fernando is going to be great. Ruckus can be hit or miss. The same thing goes for Ashe, but Khan is always going to be great. You look at Drogos, you look at Willow, Drogos is usually the one ahead. But honestly, like you said, it comes down to the players. How are they looking? Fasheko looked phenomenal on Bright Marsh on Drogos, and I have trouble saying he's going to have a poor performance on him.
The one thing I will say about Mousesports comp is it feels like they are going to be required to play heavily around the firing line damage boost from Khan's Battle Shout just to have enough damage, because this isn't a very high DPS composition outside of that, potential talent lining up for them. But given that, Fasheko's just going to be able to punish them if they're stacking up super heavily to grab a Battle Shout. And listening to just a couple of seconds of the fire rate there, it sounded like Cephacloud may have actually gone for Storm of Bullets.
That'd be an interesting change-up. It is in that same area where, like you said, you have to look at Combustible being run, that Dragon Spit, there's the Fire Spit coming through. Is it going to be enough? Plate Mail, reducing. He has Never Surrender at level 5, so I'm assuming he's still focusing on it, but I think that's just going to be typical pretty much anything. No, it's no Storm of Bullets, so I feel like he is going to be going towards some CC immunity for his team.
All right, 73% of the votes going to FNATIC as they start to grab some momentum back. Tenor rolls up to the high ground here. Under a lot of pressure and will actually be brought low. Doodle, Bolka, Bees, and Doodle again combined for 4-0. And a Mousesports clean sweep here in the first team fight of their final map selection of Game 5 of our first set of the day in the European PPL. Certainly not the way I thought this day was going to start.
Honestly, makes it a lot more interesting when Mouse is able to step up. This is something that I've wanted to see pretty much all split. And I think I said it at the very beginning. I don't know if I'm just a fan of the underdog or if I just want to see some of these guys, especially people like Bees who are incredibly nice, find some success. But Mouse has not been able to find anything pretty much all year. 90% right there, and now they're getting pushed out. This has pretty much been the way things have gone. You hit that wall, can you climb over it?
Bugsy and Unbe finding a couple of their own. A 93 to 20% lead for Mousesports. Starting to be chipped away at. And that shiny new Fernando skin. Bugsy has been putting in some time. This is the recolor of the new one that you have to like grab you have to get those special tokens, I think in Onslaught, and then go buy it in the store. So my man has been putting in the work for this skin. And boy, does he look good for it.
Looks fantastic. Unfortunately, not as fantastic for the rest of the team. 3 members already dead for none.
Yeah.
There's going to be one as Bugsy picks it up, but he does lose his life in the process of the trade. 99 going to turn to 100 here, and Mouse, they're bouncing back with .1.
Escort the payload.
Good start to them on Stone Keep. It is Mousesports' pick. You do expect them to feel good here. But in a Game 5, with 2 map bans, there's not a ton of maps left, so the further into a series you go, the more, I guess, polarizing the map choices become, right? Everyone starts with their best foot forward, but as you go later and later, you start getting to those slightly more unconventional picks. Not to say that about Stone Keep. And this is more applicable to best of 7s than best of 5s here, but you got to wonder how big the disparity is going to be between these two teams on this map this late in the series.
Especially when you still had other options. I think we did see Frozen Guard and Frog Isle banned out, so that means you still have like a Split Stone, still had a Timber Mill, still had all of those kind of fringe maps that will come through, like you said, more often in a best of 7 towards the very end of it because you're forced to go there. And then it comes down to who can get the better draft. Right here, drafts, like we said, kind of going 50-50. That is not going 50-50 for Unbelievable. He gets dashed off, or tossed off, can't dash back in. And now Mouse looking to try and break this final arch and come in here to the courtyard of FNATIC's base.
Well, a couple of ultimates online for either side here. Faithlight comes up. Assert Dominance was used deep in the back line here for Mousesports just to try and keep this one rolling. Anjadoodle will pop the Faithlight when it's all said and done. But the hang time is a little bit too much, a little bit too low to the ground there. Bugsy loses his life to a Spite, who then loses his own life, trading it out. Alex will go down. Gara able to stabilize, find a kill as well. 50 seconds on the clock here for this defense, and it looks all good for FNATIC.
Cloud was sitting up there, and it looked like he was playing tower defense. He was just sitting there in one spot essentially the entire time, just burrowing bullets into anyone. Mainly Unbelievable, but anybody on FNATIC that might be able to get into his sights. With 30 seconds left, it's definitely going to be a hard push. This last arch, once you break through, is very difficult to get back onto the payload because of how open it is.
It certainly is. 20 seconds on the clock now. Not a lot of time left in the tank here for either squad to make a move. We'll have to see what happens here with plenty of FNATIC ultimates, but ideally they're holding this defense without having to use any. 6 seconds on the clock here. Bees gets disengaged away, forced to shoulder bash back in, but not before he eats 3 big game shots from Tenor up on the high ground. 1 for 1 so far in the exchange. Bees all the while pushing this payload closer and closer to its home destination. Ruckus trying to hold on here as long as he can. The shield goes down just in time. There's just not enough damage to take down the Ruckus. Unbelievable has done a great job staying alive and weathering the storm for FNATIC to even up the scoreboard without a single ultimate used.
And this is one of those areas where even though a Spite, especially if you're running Guillotine, will be able to eliminate a front line completely, you also fall into that area where you start looking at other flanks, what they can provide. I wonder how many members of Mousesports have gone for something like a Wrecker, because that is what is probably the best way to deal with a Ruckus. The reason he's so tanky is because with the cooldown of Emitter Shield, how effective you can make it be, plus his damage reduction that some players do tend to run in his loadout, makes it a lot more difficult. So they have 2 Wrecker 2s, and I'm looking at Anjadoodle and Cephacloud as the members that have to be looking at Unbelievable in these fights.
3, 2, 1.
Well, we'll see if it is so. 5 ultimates for FNATIC. Not 5, but pretty damn close here. 86, 88, and 99 on the 3 ultimates that are not available. Make that a quick 100. And the big guns are brought out early and often here for FNATIC, but not a ton of damage. However, the zoning is fairly effective from Unbelievable's Hexafire.
Does get taken down to about 1,000 health, but that's a Dragon Punch. B is going to get taken off the point. Now Cephacloud, left by his lonesome Anjadoodle, goes down. And no one's going to be able to deal with this Ruckus who has the high ground. Drogo is going to be hovering around here as well. It's a perfect fight coming down from FNATIC. Good control of the map as well. That's going to make it very difficult for Mouse to be able to come in and reclaim some of the glory or even get back to the point.
Salvo's ready to rip here from Pacheco. He's carefully placed himself up on this balcony high ground, rips the salvo down the hallway, finds a decent amount of damage. Overpower comes through, but I think this Khan might be losing his life before Unbelievable does. Tenor takes him down. Unbelievable will go down when it's all said and done. He almost takes down the Willow for his troubles. Tenor boxing out with this little fairy, but even he needs to back up here. This fight is far from over. Alex goes to the back line with the Xin, but forced to use all of his cooldowns very quickly. He won't be able to get much done.
Bees is sitting on the point as best as he can, doing whatever he can to create a zone, but Pacheco finds Doodle, and that swings things heavily in favor of FNATIC. Not only the fact that you're seeing, what was that, 1,200?
1215.
For those shots every single time.
Pretty good.
Doesn't matter whether you hit 1 or 4, it's going to hurt.
And look at that. Even though Khan is CC immune, doesn't get knocked back by the disengage, the debuff is still applied, and Tenor is still able to plug him up for over 1,000 damage a shot. This Cassie build Not the first time we've seen it, but it is the first time we've seen it be this effective, and Tenor has run it 4 games in a row on Stone Keep, on Ascension Peak, on Serpent Beach. It just doesn't matter. It seems like it's his preferred choice now.
And it's looking at the way Mousesports play. Historically, they always focus on their front lines. Bees is such a big part of this team that if you can shut him down, if you can shut down Cephacloud, you give yourself a lot of room. Yes, Doodle can carry, but he always usually has a lot of space to carry with. If you can get rid of those two, which is exactly what we've been seeing Bittner go for, then you can definitely open up your team's success route to beat Mouse.
You know, it's a different choice, and I think it's one that is going to have value not in just the fact that it's good, but also rooted in the fact that it's just going to throw off frontline players. They're just not going to be used to dying this quickly, man. It's so ingrained in you, your matchups, your time to kill, how long you have, how many shots you can take, and Tenor is just throwing it all out the window with this new legendary choice.
And being able to set this up, you also get the brand application. You get the kinetics application to the point where you're not healing as much as you normally would expect. And like you said, when all of that's ingrained in you,
Bugsy's balling.
Eventually these numbers just don't make sense. They don't add up the way you want to. Like you said, Bugsy being able to find a lot of pressure, a lot of good long-range fireballs today.
I love when Bugsy knows he's like kind of dead, and then he just starts like dancing around and just being unreadable in like his movement patterns, and then he squeaks out of that engagement just barely alive. Doesn't mean FNATIC's going to win or really gain any value there, but it's just funny to watch. It's the second time now that he's gone from the first guy that looks like is going to be dead in that engagement to the last one left alive, and his whole team just dies around him. Everyone could use maybe a dance lesson or two from Bugsy.
With 30 seconds left, the payload is sitting right on Mouse's doorstep. And so far, the good plays have been made from FNATIC. If you're going to use ults, this is a good time to use them to go up 3-1. But going in 2-2, with the way they've been able to kind of control the point, is not too outlandish for them. But it is dangerous in a Game 5 to be 2-2 because that is the round where anyone could absolutely win. But you get rid of Bees, and that is just the sign. Go. Get aggressive. Get in their face and try to convert this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goes the countdown here. Overtime is certainly going to start. Bugsy finds another fireball kill, charging around. So much damage on the payload, and FNATIC bouncing back, coming up on a 3-1 lead now. 1 point, 1 payload, 1 victory in this team fight stands between them and a win. A hard-fought, very bloody, very messy win, but a win nonetheless over Mousesports, a team that we all assumed they would handle coming into today, but Mousesports showing us otherwise.
I'm curious if this is going to be a reverse of what we saw with the Splice doubleheader at the end of Week 3, where it was a quick 3-0 at the very beginning and then a 5-game set. I mean, now we get the 5-game set. Is this going to be the same Mouse that plays in the next game? Are they going to be able to even keep it up for this map with the way things have been going? 3-10 on Cephacloud, definitely a different performance from him. 3-6. The only person doing really well is 7-8 on Andrew Doodle, but even then, you're looking negative. Even is Zen, but it's still Zen, and it's still not affording a lot of room.
Seedling forces Unbe off the high ground early. NTbees needs some healing, and right now he's just not getting it, crushed under the pressure of Ruckus and maybe some cauterized threes at this point. I thought I saw a Mending Spirit's effect around him, but the healing just wasn't coming through. The health bar just wasn't moving up. FNATIC off to a good start here. Comeback mechanic enabled for Mousesports, but so far they have not been able to make use of it.
I mean, 27%. They were standing on it for very little as far as time can go, but now being able to at least get some control. NTbees, this is pretty much where you need to be. You're home. Overpowered comes through, but it's not going to be enough. At least it finds the kill there, but you aren't able to save your team.
Loser Rift is going to try and keep Unbelievable alive. He heads to the back line, drops a Hexafire, and just looking for a target, bouncing back and forth. 180, 180, 180. He ends up getting a lot of effective damage in there, Gora. I got to be honest there. That was not good juggling there from Mousesports. He's able to get to the back line, do a ton of damage here. Now, here comes the windup and the pitch. Fasheko rolls through here looking for a target. He is going to find it as well. Emergency clone, emergency life exchange to keep Fasheko alive as he finds one in the back line. Makes it out, gets away with murder, 99%, and a FNATIC victory. One that will come through 5 games. They dropped 2 maps to Mousesports, but it, at the end of the day, is a W in the column.
I guess that's at the end. The first thing they're looking at is just getting the W's in the column. The second thing they're going to be worried about is going to be where those maps come from, where they go. We expected a win. We expected 3 wins from FNATIC. I did not expect anything out of Mouse, so they have blown me completely out of the water with the way today went. Bees was able to do a pretty good chunk of damage. The same thing there goes for Alex, but the rest of the team kind of falling behind. There was a lot that went wrong there, and I think a lot of it is just when it comes down to it, you look at Drogo's first. He had a lot of control.
Ton of this damage coming from Cassie as well. It's Bittner. Runs big game Cassie 4 games in a row, 10-3 here in game number 5. Pretty much the same loadout each and every time as well. And it will be a FNATIC victory. The drafting starting to equalize a little bit. It got rocky there through the center. But that's pretty much going to do it, guys. The MVP of the set. I wonder, who would you give it to after watching that? I know who I would.
That's all over the place. I mean, I actually want to shout out some guys from Mouse, but since they didn't win, I guess they're kind of off the block. A lot of what they did were really good, but Fasheko was incredible throughout the entire day. I mean, first off, you give him Drogo's 2 maps.
That's why.
And that's going to be a lot of the reason he's going to look incredible no matter what. In game number 1, he was finding beautiful angles. He was holding on to a lot of maps in Bright Marsh that you wouldn't exactly expect, and I feel like that's where Mouse were caught off guard. But even here, he's just playing it pretty much to a note, the way you expect him to bring it nowadays.
Yeah. I like that, baby. I like to see that. Big salvo damage, big control from Drogos. He crushes it on Drogos. Obviously, he's one of the best in the world on this champion. But it's all of those other maps as well when things aren't going well for FNATIC. That's why I think you got to give this to Fasheko today when he's playing Xin, when things aren't going well and he's still pulling a 2 KD. That is best player in the world type of performances, when things aren't going your squad's way and you are still shining.
These are the moments that we always end up seeing from Fasheko online, but never come through at LAN. The only person who has been, I want to say, somewhat consistent between the both has been relatively Thiel and Bittner, but with Thiel gone, Bittner's kind of where everyone has to turn their eyes to.
Well, chat, I tried to sway you as hard as I could, but Tenor will be your MVP of this set. 4 games in a row of big game Cassie, the young gun himself. He had a great game 1 on Leon as well, so he has a nice performance through the set as well, and showing us the strengths of this big game Cassie against what is a lot of double frontline these days, and that could potentially be a new way for Cassie to be very, very successful, a new way for Inara to break down on the objective, a new way for Cassie to find herself closer to first pick. But that's going to do it for this first set of Europe. Thank you guys so much for riding along with us so far in the European PPL today. We've got one more setup on the docket for you, but before we get into Ninjas and Pajamas and Mouse Sports, we're going to go on a quick little break.